Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, we're going to talk about the exciting news that Black Sabbath is going to reunite for one more show. We'll give you our thoughts and our comments about that, as well as a little bit of a discussion about the Grammys and FireAid. Lots to cover in this episode. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today, I have with me my buddy on a whole new setup, my comrade. How you doing, bloody?
It's not a whole new setup like a new place. It's a
No.
new computer.
Yeah, it's a new computer that nobody could tell,
Yes.
but I just figured I would celebrate the fact that you're doing your first podcast with your new computer.
Is this 301?
I don't get that. Yes, episode 3. Yes, it is episode 301. I thought you meant like time. I'm like, no, it's
No.
Well past 3 o'clock. I was like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Yes, it's episode 301.
Yes.
And,
I have upgraded my technology here.
Nice. I upgraded my setup here slightly, but you have a whole new upgraded technology for the new year for 301 and beyond. How nice of you to get new technology.
Hey, you know what? That's what I do for a living. If anybody's even
That is true.
It should, other than say pretzels and thode, and then I actually do have a real job.
And then have drinks with you every time we have a podcast episode. There you go. You see, you're right on cue.
I haven't had my bird snacks in a while.
You haven't?
My little peanuts.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's because now lately we've been recording closer like to dinner time, so you probably don't want to ruin your appetite for destruction.
Yeah. No Guns N' Roses.
No Guns N' Roses. But So I texted you, I think, over the weekend, and I said, we haven't done an episode in like 2 weeks. I was sick for a little bit, and my son had the flu. I had high fever. You're getting a whole new computer. I said, I think
up with fever.
We both take out the bass, the air bass.
Yeah.
But I texted you, and I was like, I think we have to do another episode. And I think we have to start off the new year with a Kiss episode. And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. It sounds good to me. But then today, some news broke, Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne news. And I decided, just like Ross Geller did on Friends, I decided we would do a pivot.
What is this, an Excel table?
No Excel tables. Do you understand the Ross Geller comment? Do you watch Friends or no?
No.
No, okay. You see, I was a casual Friends fan. I can't say I certainly don't know all the episodes, but there's a classic episode where Ross is yelling, pivot, pivot. Anybody who's watching, if you understand what I'm talking about, put in the comments, say, Brun, we're with you, or no, we're like Vincent, we don't like Friends. But yeah.
I was still too busy I was still too busy watching Mr. Furley at the Regal Beagle during that time. I still hadn't gotten out of that. You know me, 70s. Man.
I was going to say, that was not just in the 90s, that's even to today.
Well, that's not true because I did watch.
That's true. In the 2000s. So in the 90s, you stopped watching stuff, I feel like. But then in the 2000s, you were like King of Queens, Everybody Loves Raymond, right? Wasn't that the early 2000s?
True. And 90s, I did watch Seinfeld. I went through that whole, and I think, what was after that? Frasier? I think I used to watch that afterwards.
Okay.
I think that was the 1-2 punch on Thursday nights, was that?
Seinfeld was Thursday nights. Frasier, I thought was a different night, but I was not a Frasier guy.
I think it was.
Maybe at one point it was Thursday nights, because Thursday nights was Friends and then whatever at 8:30, Seinfeld and whatever at 9:30, and then ER at 10. At least when I watched at that time.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to do a podcast on. What were you going to say?
I said one of these days I would love to just, people can put in the comments if they would even want to hear this. I know this is, the rock experience with Mike Brunn. But it is, like we grew up, we're 70s, 70s, children, or what are we? We Gen X? What the hell are we?
I don't know. We're 70s kids. I can't keep
All
up with
right.
the X's and the Y's
So
and the Z's and what they all mean.
I mean, I grew up, Bionic Woman, $6 Million Man, Incredible Hulk, Wonder Woman. Those are like more of the dramas or the action shows, and then you had,
Mhm.
the Three's Companies, What's Happening, Jeffersons, All in the Family. I mean, I think we talked
Taxi,
about this in
soap,
Taxi.
all that. Yep.
Yeah, I would just love to discuss some of that stuff. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, one day we'll have to really do a strong pivot. Yeah, brought us all back.
mm-hmm.
And maybe talk about just pop culture. We did have Jason Herndon on once, and we spoke about like some of the stuff from our childhoods and toys and things like that when I got my Kiss Me
It's
back, right?
glorious,
That was a
glorious.
glorious. In fact, I know when I did the 300th, when we did the 300th episode, somebody commented to me that that was their favorite episode. And I have to say, that warmed my heart when I heard that
Yeah,
because like I that was a great episode. That was a lot of fun. It was a
yeah.
lot of fun kind of just bringing out some old toys and things like that and then talking about how I got my old Kiss Me era from my
Well,
childhood back.
it's funny you say that. I know about a week or so ago, I sent you a picture of a watch, and like, do you recognize this? And you're
Yes.
like, it's kind of looks familiar. I'm like, if this,
But I got
not
it.
say the
I
word.
got it
You
on my
did, yeah.
own.
I'm like, so people know when you got married, I was in your wedding party. You got all the men, which
Hmm.
I think there was three of us, right?
Yep.
Total watches. So I still have the watch, mint condition, right?
Never
Always
won.
preserve the
Thanks.
mint.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
So I went on this mission, like you and I always do, once we get an idea. And then I discovered I had like 20 something watches. And I used
Right.
to be, before we were all wearing, or some of us wearing Apple Watches, that was the one piece of jewelry I liked. People right now saying, when did they get into this episode? Anyway, I'll make this very quick. Don't say exactly. So, but anyways, in there was my Swatch watch from 1985. And if anybody remembers, Swatch was like a
That was
big
the
deal. The
rage.
color,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
So, so it's kind of glorious just going
Mhm.
back and making these and seeing just the art of like putting that battery in and seeing that little arm move again. It's like, so satisfying.
It
It's like
is.
vinyl.
It
You see, it's
is.
like putting the record in the cassette. The real. As a
It-
matter of fact, and let me just demonstrate here, as people
yes.
can see me in my sweatpants. So I know I told you recently, if you can see me in the camera here.
Yes, I can.
Right here is my new old realistic 8-track that I got, that I finally was able to play my copy of Rock and Roll Over that we got at Zigzag. And I think you can see it's kind of blurry. It's got the price of $10 in 1987.
Wow, that was expensive for 87.
Right? Yeah.
For an 8-track.
The top silver unit is an 8-track player, and it was glorious.
Yeah.
Even though it's the
one of the things I was going to say, one of the things I always loved, air quotes, about 8-tracks is how it would just cut off a song like mid-song and then go to the next track.
I had an argument with my friend Dave about that. He said, no, it didn't do that. I'm like, I
it
don't know
did
about that.
It did that, yes.
And I'm like, you're like, hey, call me, see you. Hey. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, but it is kind of, you have to put it all in perspective. At least we're getting to music.
Yes.
Before there was cassettes in the late 60s, this was the technology. You were able to put this in your car and listen to music. So people, I don't think really was like, oh my God, it's skipping this. I mean, this is but you had the ability to put something portable in your car, and they were highly successful originally.
They were. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But alas, now we just have our entire music collection on our gadget that we keep in our pocket instead.
I know. Not a fan.
Still not a fan. Yeah, you see, for traveling things in car like that, I love it.
Listen,
come on, imagine if you had to pack those albums under your arm. Okay, come on.
I abuse it all the time, meaning like I use it all the time. But there's nothing like the art of putting the cassette in, the 8-track or the vinyl. I don't know.
Yes.
But you're right. When I learn music, when I learn songs and I build my playlist and I could loop something over and over again, lifting the needle, rewind the cassette. Let me hear that solo again. Let me hear that solo. That gets tiring, especially now when you didn't know any better. Remember back in the day, you had your record player, and if it was skipping, you put a penny on top of it.
Of course, yes. Sometimes multiple pennies on top.
Right.
I remember my Kiss Dynasty album always, I think I returned it like 3 times, and the beginning of Charisma always skipped. And I had to put like friggin' a roll of pennies on top of the needle to keep it from skipping.
Meanwhile, we didn't realize at the time we were destroying the record by putting that added weight on it. But what did we know?
What did we know? And we didn't care as long as it played without skipping.
What is my? As long as you got that,
I queued you up. I'm like, he's not going to do it. Man. But you see, all of that just because I mentioned the word pivot.
If I were you, I watch any other words you say. I might just put, well, that recipe I made chicken cutlet with with this kind of breadcrumb, you know.
Well, now I'm
Yeah.
afraid to use the word I'm going to use.
Oh,
So today I said we were going to pivot away from the Kiss episode, and we'll do that, maybe next. But today it was announced that Ozzy is going to do his final show, and more importantly, Black Sabbath is also going to reunite at that show. And I'm scared to use that reunite word because I'm afraid you're going to start singing reunited and feel so good on me. But
no, I'm if Peaches would
peaches and
hear,
herbs,
yeah, herbs.
herbs,
There was two guys, herbs.
herbs.
Which herb wants to sing on this one? Herb one or herb two?
Oh,
Uh,
that's good.
what was it? Paprika or oregano? Who is it? I don't think paprika's even an herb.
Shows how much we know about cooking, right? But no. So today was announced earlier this morning that Black Sabbath is going to reunite properly this time with all four original members, so including Bill Ward on drums, for one final performance. No surprise, in Birmingham, England. I'll say where it should be, on July 5th of this year. And I think it was Tony Iommi I saw made a comment like he felt like Sabbath didn't end properly when they did their last show, which was actually 8 years ago yesterday, which is freaking crazy. So Sabbath as a
Which Bill Ward didn't play.
Bill Ward did not
Right? It was
play
the
at
other.
that. Nope, nope.
Yeah.
Bill Ward did not play that entire time for a few years. He wasn't playing with them. So he said, hey, look, let's do this the right way. I know, and I think we did an episode on this about a year and a half ago. Myself and my son met Ozzy Osbourne, and my
Yes.
son had asked him, "Do you think there's ever going to be a chance that you get on stage again?" And I know in my mind was not a chance in the world, no way. But Ozzy's face freaking lit up. It was incredible to see just how excited he got, and he's like, he said something to the effect
You
of,
sure it wasn't about seeing you?
"Oh, of course," but he was already excited about that. Then it was extra lit up after seeing
Okay,
me.
all right.
But he's like, this is what I do. Yeah, and I'm gonna get up back on that stage if it kills me, or something like that. He said, and
Yeah.
I know in the last year he has made a few comments in the press. All four of them have that they wanted to do one more show. But quite honestly, until this morning, I didn't think it would ever happen. Did you think it was possible that Sabbath would get on stage one more time?
I didn't think it was possible that Ozzy was going to get on stage one
Yeah.
last time, and I think, I mean, all God willing, he's going to be okay. I still, dare I say, be a little surprised if that happened, considering how I've seen him more so recently. It's so hard to tell these days. When you're looking through like Facebook or whatever, you don't know what the hell is AI generated.
Of
They
course.
can make somebody look like they're crippled and they're hunched over. You don't know if it's a
Right.
real photo anymore.
Of course.
Back in the day when you're going into Photoshop and you would take somebody's head and put your own, and I used to mess around and do all that stuff for fun.
Yeah.
You just don't know anymore,
No.
But
No. But I can
listen.
speak firsthand on that. So when my son and I went to the meet and greet, Ozzy actually left to go use the restroom, and he walked right by us. Was he walking with a cane? Yes, he was. But he's had much more pep in his step, I'll say, than I ever expected that he would. Clearly, he was elderly, a little bit frail, but he was up and walking. It's not like, somebody was holding his hand and walking him along. He was walking with a cane, but totally on his own and pretty mobile, all things considered. Do I know that? I don't think he could do a 2-hour show standing there, and he's not going to be freaking jumping up and down and doing the Aussie clap and all of that. I'll be curious to see if he sits in a chair. I won't be upset if he does, but it'll be interesting to see if he's able to do even. Look, he said the Aussie show would be a couple of songs. I think he said the Sabbath one. They haven't said if it's going to. My impression is not going to be a full show. It's probably going to be a handful of songs. Chances are, like you're saying, whether it's vocally or just physically, Ozzy probably can't do much more than that. But for me, I think it's cool. I'm happy that all four of them, and especially Ozzy, right? Because but all four of them go out the way they want to. I think that's kind of good because it's been 7 or 8 years since Ozzy's been on stage, which is just freaking incredible.
It's so funny. I don't know if I'm more excited that Bill Ward's going to be playing with them than Ozzy actually playing, and this week. I don't remember what the reasons why.
Well, they
Bill
said it was a
Ward,
contract thing,
yeah,
which
yeah.
yeah.
You know, again, we've talked about whether the guitar players, bass players, and drummers or whatever, singers, certain guys who don't get their due, certain guys who gets too much due.
Right.
Listen, we all know that John Bonham is, one of the greats. So maybe some people say the greatest rock drummer.
Right.
However, coming out of that era with like Carmine Appice and John Bonham and Bill Ward and Keith Moon and all these guys, you could distinctly know. And when you hear Bill Ward play, Ian Pace too of Deep Purple is another guy who doesn't ever really get the mentions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always loved his style. I loved that they used to call him Bill Mental Ward, which was perfect too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so funny because recently my brother sent me a text and he say, and it was a solo album. I think he came out with in like 1989 or 90. He's like, "Do you have this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I bought it on cassette."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, I was like, I thought I was the only one who bought it. To be honest.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. You and your brother might be the only two people, maybe.
No, he doesn't have it. He doesn't.
Oh, he
have
doesn't.
It.
Ooh, shut
Yeah, but it was like fetching like I don't know how much it was. It was fetching much more than what I paid for it. I think because it's like a rare type of thing.
Right.
Then again, you could see a Danger record from whatever 1989 that's like $60 because those 80s metal records, especially the one they all of a sudden they went up in value.
Right. Well, but, especially the ones that weren't mass produced with
right.
million copies being sold.
Yeah, so. Yeah. So I was always a big fan. That's my point of Bill Ward, and I think I'm more excited about that actually. Just that he gets that opportunity. What happened in the past happened in the past. Yeah,
no, I think that's a great point because as much as they did their final shows back in 2018, I think it was their final show, it did feel incomplete not having Bill there. So to me, I love that Sabbath, God willing, is going to go out on July 5th. All four original members, really the way it should be. And look, we've done a ton of conversations and a few episodes on the way Kiss went out without two of the original members being there. I've spoke about when I saw Kix at their final show and they brought back some original members and it just felt right. Sabbath is going to go out the right way, and they should. They're the friggin' godfathers of heavy metal. I mean, you could say that heavy metal kind of starts with that first Black Sabbath album. They should go out the way they want on their terms, all four of them. And I love that that's the way it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's you can't really know if Black Sabbath didn't exist, if heavy metal wouldn't exist. That's but we know that they did. And this is what followed, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So, another band like Judas Priest quite doesn't get the kind of recognition. I mean, these guys were around in the early 70s putting out records long before there was, British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance. And if you listen to those records, again, they were the forefathers along with Sabbath that, we know, although I don't want to start talking about award shows, and I will get to that though. We will have a side note about that.
Okay.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Judas Priest, they did get their due. Only because now I feel like, they say, all right, you got to, all right, come in. Okay. Once that door was open, but anyways.
Right. No, it's, I don't know. Have you seen the advertisement for the show?
No,
I know it was, so you can find it on social media all over the place, but I mean, I'll just rattle off. So it seems like, and I haven't read all the details of it. Like I said, this just came out today, but it seems like it's going to be a celebration of all Sabbath music and Ozzy music during the day. They've got tons of special guests with them. They list like a bunch of individual artists like Duff McKagan, Jakey Lee, Rudy Sarzo, Wolf Van Halen, Slash, Sammy Hagar, KK Dowen, Tommy Morello, Lizzie Hale. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's tons of different artists. And they said that these artists are going to kind of be performing with each other in different configurations during the day. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, it sounds to me like they'll probably be doing different Sabbath and Ozzy songs in different configurations with each other. But of course, what jumped off at the page of me instantly, Jakey Lee. I was like, that's freaking cool. I would love to see Jake get up there and do Bark at the Moon with Ozzy. I don't know if it's going to happen. They said he's going to do a very small solo set. But to me, that would be freaking cool if Jake got up on stage after whatever it is. Like, it's got to be close to 40 years that they performed together. And did
Not only that, together. He's got shot at.
And it's probably the first time he's going to be on stage since that happened, So I got, like, when I saw that, I got excited. I'm like, oh man, that's great. Rudy Sarzo's there. I don't think there was ever an overlap with Jake and Rudy in the band. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, I think Rudy had left, went back to Quiet Riot, and then Jakey Lee came in at the same time. But to me, that's okay. If Ozzy, Rudy, Jake was on stage together, and I'm not sure who to get to play drums. I haven't seen anybody from the Ozzy umbrella, but that'd be freaking awesome to just have that kind of like Ozzy reunion, if you will, along with a Sabbath reunion that day.
I mean, you listen. The last time we saw Ozzy, he was getting an award or something, right, as a solo artist,
Yeah, yeah. What was
and it
it?
was and it and it
The
was
Hall of
he
Fame, I
always
think. Yeah, I think he got
and he
into the Hall of Fame.
spoke for like less than a minute, and I mean, he didn't look like this is a guy who's going to be able to sing on stage. So
Right.
look, maybe he's going to do the Phil Collins thing where he's
Mhm.
going to sit in one of those big ass chairs, that
Yep.
looks all, which is fine, whatever it's
Right.
going to be, it's going to be. Get them all on the stage, Let's
I
not
agree.
let's not analyze this too much. Of oh, he's not the same. Who
Yeah.
cares?
And look,
You know?
Ozzy, not only just the age, but he's had spinal injuries. I think he has Parkinson's, right? So it's not like it's just age, which is in and of itself enough to be sitting in the chair, but he's got real health issues as well. So to me, the fact that he's going to get up and do whatever he could, to me, that's exciting. So let me ask you this. They said it was going to be a small Ozzy set. I'm taking that to mean 2 or 3 songs. Clearly, one of the songs is going to be Crazy Train. It has to be. I mean, what do you think the second song? I'm not saying in sequence in order that he performs them, but if you were choosing the songs for him to do, Crazy Train's the first song you put on the list. What's the second song you put on that list?
That's a great question. I don't even know if I could answer that without really thinking this one over. Because there's all the different eras,
Of course.
Obviously the Randy era. I could easily pick songs. There's the Jake era that I love.
Yeah.
There's the Zach Wild.
So yeah, I'll throw a few out.
Have...
Well, second slot. Do you go with I Don't Know, Suicide Solution, Bark at the Moon, No More Tears? I'll just stop there, right? Those are 4 biggies. And I covered every era for you, all the major eras.
I think, I Don't Know is just such more, dare I use the word intimate with that song, just because it's still of that first record. And, the first time you put that record on and that's what you heard, that opening riff. And I would probably have to go with that. It's the first song of his first solo album. I'm going to probably have to pick that one.
And here, I'll do like they do on Survivor. I'll give you one more. You get one more choice. What would you choose third?
Out of the ones you just said?
Or if you come up with something else, but I tried to think of off the top of my head, like the biggest ones.
This is really good. I'm just listening to I love, and I'm not saying this one yet, but I love like Lightning Strikes. Like when that song starts and Jake's riff, I love
which
that.
Obviously he's never going to do that one.
Not going to do that one, but
I love that you just pulled that out. Like I'd love if he did like Secret Loser or whatever, but
yeah,
do that,
Yeah, of course. And then the No More Tears became so synonymous with like Kiss concert, when we would see them. And, and it's just such an awesome song. I really grew to appreciate that because of seeing them. And then there's what's it, Over the Mountain? What is it?
Over the Mountain, Flying High Again.
Flying High Again. I mean, Bark at the Moon. I mean,
Believer.
Mr. Crowley. I mean,
oh yeah, how could I leave out Mr. Crowley?
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do the 1, 2, 3 punch, it's gonna be, I hate to say it, from that first album, I Don't Know, Crazy Train. And Mr. Crowley. You know what I mean? It's even just saying that, I just got a chill.
Of course.
It's just like, man. So.
And shame on me for leaving Mr. Crowley off of your choices.
Yeah.
Probably that should even be over Suicide Solution. Probably.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, if Ozzy's doing 3 songs, what would be cool to me is if he did Crazy Train. Well, let me go backwards for a moment here. If he did No More Tears and Zach was on stage with him.
Yeah.
Then he did Bark at the Moon and Jake was on stage with him. And then obviously Crazy Train. But then you say, well, Randy's not here. Who could he get to play guitar? I know this is, maybe I'm alone on this. I would love.
I know what you can say.
What?
Brad Gillis.
Yes, thank you. I would love to see Brad Gillis come up. And, obviously Brad, who was there, did the Speak of the Devil album. I would just love to see Brad play with him one more time also. I don't think in a million years that's ever going to happen. Brad's name is not on the poster right now. But that's what I would love to see. Those 3 songs. Yeah. They may be songs 1, 4, and 5 on the list, because I totally understand why you would choose Mr. Crowley and I Don't Know over those 2 songs. But for just what it would mean, Ozzy's last show, get each of his guitarists up there, I just think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Probably won't happen, but yeah, either way, no matter what Ozzy does, I mean, he'd get up there and sing No Bone Movies, and two other shit sandwiches from some of his other albums, and I'd still be
Was it Thank
excited.
God for the Bomb?
Yeah,
Thank
thank
God
God
for
for the
the
bomb.
bomb.
Exactly.
Thank God for the
And by the
bomb.
way, I don't think No Bones Movies is a shit sandwich, but it's
No.
just the lesser song on that entire album, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to me, anything he does would be great. But I am quite sure that the show is going to close with Sabbath,
Oh yeah.
as it should.
Yeah.
As it should. I mean,
Absolutely.
they're playing. I heard Giza say right now that not right now, but earlier today, I heard him say that the location of this show is pretty much exactly where they were writing the songs for the first album.
That's cool.
Yeah, not in the stadium, obviously, but like that same town or whatever. So they're literally ending right in the same town, same city where they started, which to me is exactly the way it should be for them. So
Absolutely.
now I'm going to put you on the spot again. So Sabbath. Well, I'll stick to three also, even though they might do more than three. If you were picking some of the last three songs Sabbath does, what do you think?
It's got to be Paranoid. It's got to be Iron Man.
Yes, those are the two gimmies.
Yeah, and hmm,
For those listening,
it's a
he is
good
still
one.
here. He's thinking.
I don't know. War
I think,
Pigs. I'm thinking.
yeah, look, yeah, War Pigs, I mean, that's obviously a phenomenal choice. To me, it's either War Pigs or Black Sabbath, the song.
Oh yeah. Yes, I'll
Yeah.
take that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's,
Yeah.
and they're probably going to do more than three, I'm hoping. So hopefully we get both War Pigs and the song Black Sabbath. But if it's only three, I'm thinking Paranoid, Iron Man, and Black Sabbath, the song.
Yeah.
But to me, either way, man, I wish. So it's funny. I was actually in England last year on July 5th when this concert's going to. So I was just 1 year early being in England on July 5th. If this was not something that would cost me thousands of dollars to fly over there, I'd go in a heartbeat. In a
Yeah.
heartbeat. If this was
Well,
somewhere in America, I would probably, even if it was California and I had to fly across the country, I'd probably go. Um, totally understand why it's not in America. I'm not trying to say it should be. Totally understand. It's in the right place. There's no doubt about it. I think the stadium holds 40 something thousand people. I'm sure it'll sell out like that
yeah.
instantly.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure people will travel from around the world. I'm hoping they do some kind of streaming thing. I have not seen anything that says that yet, but it's still early. It was just announced today. But I'm really hoping that they do some kind of streaming thing for the show so that, those of us who are unable to
Pay per
travel
view.
for it, pay-per-view, what,
Pay per
yeah,
view.
I'd pay 40, $50 to watch this on
Yeah.
pay-per-view
Absolutely.
live, so,
Yeah.
and it sounds to me like it's going to be, I don't want to say an all-day event, but it's certainly going to be a lengthy event. So if they do stream or pay-per-view a type of thing and you have to pay, you'll get your money's worth. I have not seen
Absolutely.
yet what the ticket prices are going to be for this, but I'm sure they'll be a little bit on the pricey side, and I'm sure it'll be worth every penny.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see exactly as they announce more information on this. But to me, seeing Ozzy's face light up a year and a half ago when we were talking with him about doing one more show, knowing Bill was not at that final Black Sabbath show, I saw this news today and I was like, yeah, this is the way it should be. This is the way a band of Black Sabbath's legacy should go out. And I'm excited to see exactly what they do on that day. Whatever it is, it's going to be friggin' amazing, I'm sure.
Can I segue on that? Can I pivot on this? What you're going to say right now?
Go right ahead, my friend. Pivot all you want.
Speaking speaking of
Pivot,
legacy, pivot.
pivot.
Speak.
You don't get the you don't get it, but I'm going to
No.
send you that link. It's that scene. You have to watch that scene. I think it's hilarious. But anyway, go ahead and pivot.
Speaking of legacy, speaking of
Yes.
legacy, I don't know. I know I didn't because I never will. They had the Grammy Awards on last weekend, I think it was.
Sunday night.
Right. And you know how I feel about music today. I'm not even going to get into that. However, every year they do like in memorandum, whatever it's called, those
Mhm.
who've died. They did not mention Jack Russell. They did not mention what's the guy's I think his name is CJ Snare from Firehouse
DJ
who
Snare. Yep.
passed. Paul Diano.
Yep.
They did not mention. again, it's a smear against heavy metal for whatever the reason is. These are, I mean, I'm not saying Firehouse was a huge band, but Iron Maiden's a huge band.
Of course,
Great White, I mean, not huge, but they're middle of the road, right?
of course, yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, they again, the lack of respect.
And you're leaving somebody out who just recently passed away, also.
Oh yeah, who's that?
John Sykes.
John Sykes. Thank you.
Yes,
I was going to mention that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Look, my wife wanted to watch it. I missed the first hour and a half of it, and that was fine. I told her, don't rewind. I don't need it. It's okay. So I was watching when they did the in memorandum section, and I was sitting there, and I always liked the way they do it. And I actually posted about this on my page a couple of days ago. I actually like that they seem to acknowledge, I don't want to say everybody, because clearly it's not, a lot of people, even people who work behind the scenes, people who are in genres that are maybe not as widely accepted. I always love that they just seem to take a few minutes to acknowledge all the people in the music industry. But year after year, the people in the hard rock and the heavy metal just seem to be ignored and forgotten. And I was sitting there watching, and Jack Russell was the one that came to mind mostly when I was watching. Why? Not because I'm saying of those guys that we just mentioned, he's the most important, but he had the most mainstream success that I thought, maybe Jack Russell, they had a few top 40 hits. Maybe he'll get acknowledgement. And when he didn't get acknowledgement, I was like, what the hell, man? Come on. This is BS. It's just,
yeah,
it's funny. I'm glad you brought this up because I had it on my notes here I have on my notes, Grammy snub in memorandum is what I wrote down in my notes to bring up. Then you didn't know I had that in my notes. It kind of nagged at me that they do this every year. I don't know why.
First of all, I want to apologize for the fact that you had to watch it.
No, you know what? I'll say this. It does not bother me. Look, I'm not the target audience for it anymore. I get that. We've kind of aged out, so to speak, if you will. I get that. Although saying that, I'm trying to remember because I watched FireAid. No, Rod Stewart was at FireAid, not at the Grammys. I realize that I'm out of touch with what's popular today. That's okay. That's all right. I have no problem with that. I don't care. But when you're doing it in memorandum, you've got to acknowledge the people across all the genres.
I don't disagree with you, but at the very least, what they did get right was best country album to Beyonce, which half the record.
I was like, what did they get right?
It's not even. It's not even a. I heard Rick Beato did the whole thing, and it's like that's a country song. And then they had guys like Chris Stapleton, who was a true. And listen, I'm not going to get to political stuff. We all know why certain things happen,
right?
And again, why I say we know why certain things happen is. I know there's a conscious decision where they see Jack Russell's name. It's not like, oh, wait, John Sykes, he just died a week ago. The guy, right. Come on. It's not like it's like I know they're purposely not doing this. And that's what pisses me off. And that's why besides the musical part end of it, which I'm out of touch with whatever it is. I just refuse to support that. Yes, I'm. So. Nope.
You can't go for that?
Nope. No can do.
Oh man, no, it's like I said, it doesn't bother me that I'm out of touch with the newest stuff. My wife actually still knows a lot of it. She's singing along to practically every song. So whatever, that's fine. I don't begrudge anybody that, but it's when it seems intentional to me. And the whole Beyonce thing, look, I'll be the first to admit I have not heard not a single note from that album. So I really should not even have an opinion because it's unfair for me to have an opinion. I've never heard a single song, not a single note from that album. But the thought that went through my mind was, Beyonce is a great pop artist. She deserves her just due in that area. Not my cup of tea, not the music I listen to. Clearly, she's had a successful career in that area, right? And deserves, I'm sure, all the accolades she gets. But as I'm watching this, I'm like, all right, this is, to my knowledge, her first and only country album. Is it really true that in her first attempt at doing a country album, she put out a country album better than every one of these longtime country artists who are well established, good at what they do? Again, not my cup of tea. I was like, nah, I can't believe this. I can't believe that Beyonce out-countryed all of these people who do this for a living for decades or many years. It just didn't. It doesn't feel real to me that could be the case.
Well,
maybe I'm wrong. I have not heard the album.
Whatever it is, put this in your pipe and smoke it. Beyonce has won more Grammys than the Beatles, Sinatra, Elton John, Billy Joel, and Diana Ross combined.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, look, she could be successful. She could have whatever it is. And the industry has changed. I get it.
Yes.
I also think those artists back then, the competition was just a lot better.
I think there's a lot less awards.
That's true too.
You might have only been up for 2 awards per year if you were the Beatles, right? And as opposed to now, Beyonce could be up for 9 or 10 awards. So it's, to me, I don't get hung up on those kind of things because it's so different in 1965 and 68 and 72 compared to 2025. So that doesn't matter to me. Should she be the #1 Grammy winner in current times? I don't know. I don't know enough about current music to say that.
Honestly, it really doesn't matter to me in the end. It doesn't, because I don't, like I said, I don't support really. I should say I don't support new music. Every once in a while there'll be an artist, a lesser known thing that I find and discover.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't support the politicalization, if that's a real word, of these shows and what they're trying not to do or intentionally to do. You know, that I just can't get on board any of that.
Agreed.
Like I said, I want my entertainment without the political, stew.
Yeah.
And
look, I agree.
Whether you're watching, the Oscars, or if you're watching, the Grammys, you're either going to have things that are political, like I say, this purpose, I think snubbing of these artists who have passed. Remember, they passed, they died. Hello, right? Yeah. And then you're going to get the messages of people who are going to use that as a forum to, put forth that I want to just have fun and enjoy my entertainment. I don't want any of that. Whatever side you're on, I don't care.
And that's what I was just going to say, because, when I run my Facebook page, I always say politics, no place on the page at all. And I delete any comments that have to do with politics. And while I agree with every word that you just said, like, I hate to see anything political, and political doesn't have to be left versus right, or it could just mean political, not like business type nonsense with this, like, oh, well, we have to give it to Beyonce because whatever their reasons are, or we're not going to acknowledge these musical artists for whatever their reasons are. It's just that kind of political, air quote, nonsense just drives me crazy, coupled with the other stuff that you were saying. And look, I don't want that in my music. People always ask me, like, why were you such a Kiss fan? What? Because it was fun. Kiss was about having fun. Right. That's what I like about music. Music is about having fun. I don't want this other nonsense, whether I agree with it or not. Either side, I don't care. I don't want that in my awards. I don't want that in my award shows. I don't want it in my music I'm listening to. I'm there to have fun. And that's why, I'll just say this. So many people criticize, for 1,000 different reasons, Taylor Swift because she was up dancing to this song, dancing to that song. The woman's having fun. I wish they were all up doing that stuff, Now, maybe she's looking for attention, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. But she's having fun, and that's what it should be about.
And again, I don't follow this stuff closely. And you know me, Super Bowl's this weekend. I'm not watching it. I kind of tuned out of sports, for various reasons. As football, just being a Jet fan, just pummeled me into submission. Too many years of torture.
Yes.
But, I would hear, every play they're going to the booth and showing Taylor Swift. I mean, the media creates that. Right. They create this thing.
That's a media thing.
That you're gonna dislike her. Oh, I'm so sick of he's saying Taylor Swift. So I think that's part of it too. I mean, for everything I understand, she's ever done things by the book, or she's never gotten in any trouble or whatever. Whatever it is.
And she seems to be a given person and all of that. But
right.
Whatever.
Right. So it's easy to hate on those people. It's really easy to hate on those people.
Of course. I forgot. I was talking to my son about this, and I was saying, like, the hoopla around her is similar to like what we saw with artists like Prince and Madonna in the 80s. It's just that there wasn't all the social media, and it wasn't in our face 24/7. In some ways,
it would have been better if we had.
It would have been, of course. People would have had tons of things to criticize Madonna over in the 80s, and Prince and Bruce Springsteen.
Listen, I still remember going to school. What was that? 85 or 84 when Madonna came on and sang "Like a Virgin" and was rolling all over the stage. Could you believe she was in a wedding dress rolling all over the stage? It was,
which seems like nothing now.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine, like, today's days with social media, how that would have been? Now, Rolling Over the Stage is not nearly the impact it had in, the
Not at
mid
all.
80s. I mean, I know I saw, again, casually see these things. I think Beyonce's girlfriend just took off her coat and she was like butt naked.
Not Beyonce. Wait, hold on.
Not Beyonce. Kanye West.
Kanye West. Thank you. Yes, Kanye
Did
West.
I say Beyonce?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's just that she just drops her coat and she's like naked. I'm
Yeah.
like, and somebody said like, there's no other barriers left. I was like, you
No,
literally
that's it.
just like,
You've now crossed the last barrier, I think. Almost.
It's not like I'm anti-nudity either. So
No.
let me just make it clear. But I personally, when people do things purposefully, obviously purposely for intent, I'm just like, yeah, it's just too
So
much.
You mean you don't want to wear those outfits on our next podcast?
You want to talk about losing viewership?
Trust me, I don't want to see that either.
Listen, it's less troubling for me. I mean, you have adult kids now, basically. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, if you're raising your son or daughter who's, very young, 2, 3, 4, maybe that's a little too young, 5, 6 years old, they're watching the show. This is what they're seeing. Yeah. I wouldn't be comfortable with that, of like, this is what they're creating as the next, I don't want to say a standard, whatever it is. It's just
that crosses the line to me.
Yeah, they're not ready for that yet. You know what I mean?
No,
just in my opinion. So
they're not.
It's just, but how did I get onto this? I don't know. But anyway,
I don't know. Well, we were just talking about the Grammys and as I'm watching the Grammys and we were talking about this, and like I said, I was talking about, some of the 80s artists with my son. I was like, boy, George, what would have happened if there was social media then, now it's funny, our age, everybody like is quote unquote loves him and embraces him. But when he came out, that was very controversial at the time. Imagine if there was social media with that.
It was, but I don't remember him getting a lot of shit for being, that was like, I mean, personally, I don't remember. Yeah. I mean, I think
there was a little bit, but I don't think it was magnified because we didn't read it on our phones every 10 seconds.
Exactly. But people loved the music. That was the bottom line.
Yes.
It kind of like, it was like, oh yeah, this guy, is he a girl? Is he a guy? What is he? Oh, right. But the music, and I mean, still, I'm a huge fan of Culture Club. Well, if there was a fan club, there probably is. I'd be a member. But I think that music's. I in my YouTube, I sometimes I'll see things. I saw a concert for what band it was the other day. Sometimes it'll be the Go-Go's, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, let me see what this is. It might have been from the mid '80s, and I think I saw one like Culture Club in '85, and I'm like, they were actually a really good, and I say live band. And on that, let's just pivot a little bit here. You mentioned about the what do they call it? The aid of the California thing.
FireAid.
FireAid, right? Mm-hmm. And I was shocked because I was like, holy shit, there's no auto-tune.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if it was on all the vocalists, but it was like I could tell that they were not putting auto-tune on. It was like real live performances. And not only that, like the discovery of that, but also I was like, oh shit. Some of these artists have gotten old. So am I. Like when I watched it, I was like, oh my God. It's like, you know what I mean? It was really like interesting because it went everywhere from like, Joni Mitchell to Green Day to, and I was going to ask you how you felt about this, talking about this show when you mentioned it before. How do you feel about the whole Nirvana thing without Kurt Cobain? And I know they've done this before where they have Joan.
I was at when they did the Hall of Fame induction and they performed like that.
What do you mean I was at? I was there with you.
Oh, you were? I wasn't sure if that was the year you came with me. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I've been to a few. I went to a few of them, and you weren't with me. Pretzel. Okay, that was the Pretzel year. They blur which year was which.
Pastrami Bell.
I know. I remember the night. I didn't remember that was the same night that you were there.
Yes.
So, that's not Nirvana to me. And I mean, no disrespect to Kurt and to Dave, who obviously were important, Pat. But Kurt Cobain was just such a huge figure.
Yeah.
It's just like if you did the Police and Sting wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love Andy and Stewart, but they're not the Police without Sting.
And it's interesting because he did play that, and I kind of fast. It was long. I was fast forwarding to see who was on there, and I'm hearing Sting, and I'm like, is that Stuart Copeland? And they're just showing Sting.
I thought the same thing. Yes, I thought the same
thing. Then finally they showed the drummer, and I was like, oh, it's not. Because I'm like, oh, this is cool. The Police for you.
I thought this. I was sitting there like staring, not even blinking. I'm like, is this a
Yeah.
police reunion? And they haven't said
Yeah.
anything. And then I was like, no, that's not Stuart Copeland. But it's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought I was the only one that thought that for
No.
probably about 30 seconds as I was watching, because I watched it live,
Yep. No.
actually. I stayed up
Oh, okay.
till close to the end. I stayed up until about 2 o'clock in the morning watching that. And I'll say this,
Yeah.
we were talking about the Grammys. To me, FireAid, I loved that as a music event. It had the older artists, it had newer artists, and everybody in between, right? And to me, it was a celebration of all types of music. Who was it? Olivia Rodrigo was up there, and the place went nuts. Rod Stewart goes up there, and the place goes nuts. I'm like, this is freaking cool that you've got these 20-year-olds and 70 or 80-year-olds performing on the same night, and they're both sides of those being so welcomed by everybody there. I thought it was a really cool event, even though I didn't like every artist that was performing. I just love that you brought in all of these artists over a 50, 60-year period under the same umbrella, and that it wasn't like, when Rod Stewart was on, or Stevie Nicks, it wasn't like, boo, boo, get off the stage.
Yeah.
We want to see the 20-year-olds, And when the 20-year-olds,
Yeah.
it wasn't like, boo, boo. It was just, everybody just
Yeah.
embraced all the music. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunately they have to put together an event for something like that for a tragedy. It'd been nice to have something like this. And I understand it's a great thing that they did it, but
right.
It just goes to show the power. If they want to organize something like this, they can do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
to me, this was the best big music event like that. I'm going to be, strong comment here, since Live Aid. I equated it to something similar to that, like the way Live Aid brought Led Zeppelin back, and then they had the newer artists at that time, like Bryan Adams and Madonna. This was the same thing. It brought back some of these classic era bands, artists, and some of the new ones, and it was a great, to me, it was a great 5, 6, 7 hours, whatever it was, celebration of music. I loved it. I wish I could have been there. I wanted, and when they announced it, I was with my daughter. And you know this about me. I love No Doubt. I wish they would do a reunion tour. They're number one on my list. They were performing there, and we were like, oh, we should fly, but I'm not flying there for 3 songs. I thought they were phenomenal. I would have loved to be there. That was my point. I would have loved to be at that. It was a freaking fun event. So much more fun than the Grammys, for crying out loud. Much more fun.
I totally agree with that.
And I thought of that as I was watching the Grammys, because it was only 2-3 days apart. Like, man, everything that's wrong with the Grammys, they could fix by doing something. And I know there's awards on the Grammys compared to, but the other one was just a celebration of all kinds of music. And it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, wow, we really got off of the Black Sabbath conversation here, but that's okay. That we had, originally I said on my notes, we could talk about the Grammys, we could talk about FireAid, we could talk about Kiss. Those were the topics I was going to say we would cover for today's podcast.
Ever since I took over the 300 episode, I know how to.
Coming soon to all areas that you stream podcasts, The Rock Experience with Vincent LaRussa.
Just call me. I'm going from the chemist to the steering wheel.
Well, I told you I had it on my notes here to talk about the Grammys, and I'm glad you brought up FireAid, because I really enjoyed that as well. But to kind of bring this all full circle, I'll be excited to see what happens with the Sabbath show. I hope they broadcast it the way they did these other 2 events that we just spoke about. Hope they make it into some kind of like DVD. I know they don't really sell DVDs anymore, but I hope there's an opportunity to really like officially own this concert at the end, because
I would think so.
Some kind of live album or something. I don't know. I hope there's something to celebrate this, and I hope it goes off as half as good as I would hope it would, because if it's half as good, it'll be great. So we'll see. Time will tell. Only time will tell.
You're leaving now.
So, all right. Anything else, my friends?
No, I think we covered a lot.
I think we covered a lot. So it was good to be back. And not to worry.
Groove.
Yes, not to worry. I'm trying to work on a few musical guests now. Sent some emails out. Good. I'm waiting for some responses. Working on one semi-big thing that I'm hoping happens. And well, we'll see. We will see as the year goes on here.
I look forward to that.
Let us know your thoughts about the Black Sabbath reunion. What songs do you hope that they do? Let us know about Ozzy. If you're going to pick 2 or 3 songs, what songs do you think that Ozzy should do for his little mini set? And then you could also just throw in your little comments about the Grammys and about FireAid as well, since we kind of went off on a little tangent there. I'll say on the end, but it was like the second half pretty much. But well, we'd like to hear your thoughts on all that stuff. And not to worry, we will be back with another episode real soon. All right. On that note, yes. Yeah. Let's do the Ozzy clap to get on out of here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. All right. Later, everybody.
Peace.
All righty. There you have it. We look forward to reading and seeing your thoughts and your opinions on what you expect from the final Black Sabbath show, as well as Ozzy's final performance ever. We also look forward to your thoughts and comments on the Grammys and FireAid as well. As always, all opinions are welcome and there's no right or wrong answers. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.